Darragh, I want to talk more about you now. We'll come back to Liverpool and your
Sure.
favourite moment as a Liverpool fan at the end. But, you were 30 years old when you became the chairman of Peterborough,
Sure.
the youngest chairman in the EFL of all time. Why Peterborough?
I was actually 29 when I did the deal for Peterborough. So it was like one of my goals in my 20s was to actually get a sports franchise. Why Peterborough? Look, I was working in international real estate and I was working my bollocks off every day. And I very rarely had any downtime. And, one of my mottos in life is, all work and no play can make you a very dull person. And I would make targets every year, the things I wanted to acquire, a new car, a new this, a new that, whatever it might be, a new bird, whatever. And on that list one year, I put buy a football club. And I knew I didn't have the wealth to buy Liverpool. So what I wanted to do was have some fun and go down the pyramid and buy a club down the pyramid and create some sort of philosophy and policy that would enable that club to rise through the pyramid. So there weren't that many clubs available, believe it or not. And this was the era before Twitter and social media. If I went out on social media today and said, I'm looking to buy a football club, within probably 24 hours, I'd have 20 different people contact me about clubs available in the lower leagues. Back then, I couldn't do that. So I had to have people reach out and talk to people in the game. And there were a few possibilities came back. One was Woking, one was AFC Wimbledon, one was Peterborough, and there was one other one in there. So I started having conversations with all those clubs. And it for me, it was about acquiring a club. And it didn't matter how badly they were run at the time. It didn't matter what condition they were in. The worse, the better, because I wanted to go in and give it a revival. And I wanted to go in and just scrub it and start again. And that's what I found with Peterborough. There was no divine reason Peterborough. I've got no loyalty to them from when I was younger. I'd never been to a game. I'd never really heard of them. Of course, I knew Peterborough, but I hadn't really been into Peterborough United or any of the other clubs. So once I knew a deal was there to be done, I flew over. I spent half a day there at the stadium. I met Barry Fry. I went through all the bits and pieces. And within 7 days, I'd agreed a deal to buy them. That was that.
I want to talk about the COVID situation and in particular how it's affected you at Peterborough.
Sure. Well, it's affected everyone in football, even Liverpool, as you've seen with the transfer deals. But more so in our league because we don't have 400 million in international turnover. We don't have 180 million from the Premier League. And we certainly ain't going to earn 79 million from getting to the semi-finals of the Champions League. So what we have is a couple of million a year in TV bits and pieces. And a lot of our revenue is based on fans. A lot of our revenue is fan interaction. So we are in a league, the EFL, that already runs at a deficit. Already clubs lose money every year. Throw a pandemic in. Throw in seasons getting ended early, not having fans, not allowed to open your club shop. It's devastating. It's fucking horrendous. So we are football clubs running on empty. We are that car, back in the old days, you'd stick your car in neutral, turn the engine off and float downhill to save petrol. There are many clubs that are basically driving like that at the moment. They are on fumes, practically. We've been a bit fortunate. We've taken a hit. We've lost a lot of money, myself, my partners. Where we're different from a lot of other clubs, based on a policy I put in place 15 years ago, we have a transfer policy. You want to compliment Michael Edwards and what they do. We do our bit down the pyramid. Outside the Premier League, there's no one who's done the deals I've done in 15 years selling players. I've done over £55 million in transfer sales from the lower echelons of League One and League Two. Nobody else has done that. And that's based on models I've built, data analytics, everything else that I brought in years ago. I created the young and hungry mantra. And people are looking at this going, what an arrogant bastard giving himself. But no, this is the truth. Whether you like me or not, I'm telling you how it is. During the pandemic, we sold Ivan Toney, who's now the most coveted striker outside the Premier League. In fact, Liverpool could do with him about now. And we sold Ivan Toney, and the business we were able to do off that sale kept our club going, allowed me to still rebuild and bring in the right parts for us to have a promotion go this year. And that's what we do. And we still have assets to this day, from our youth academy through to our first team, worth millions and millions. Young players that are very much coveted by big clubs. Players I'd love Liverpool to buy, that have come from our academy, that we've had interest from other top 4 clubs around Liverpool, including one of our biggest rivals. So that's how we've managed to stay the course during the pandemic and hopefully have a successful season.
I did want to talk about your running of Peterborough because, you have done quite a remarkable job. We talk about Marcus Maddison, and he was Peterborough's star at the time. He's moved on and maybe not gone to pastures greener, you know, in of his career since. You look at Ivan Toney, and you're quite right in saying, you know, Brentford are a side who were stripped of a lot of talent in the summer. They unfortunately just missed out on the Premier League. They look at Ivan Toney, they signed him for what is a decent amount of money in the Championship and League One, but now he's not too far away from the Premier League, whether that be going on his own or him taking to the Premier League. So how would you do it?
If Liverpool spent 40 million on Ivan Toney in the summer, I would say bargain. Right now. Like, you've no idea. You know, I always said all along, that boy could play in any of the top teams in the Premier League.
He's 6'4", and he's got everything.
He's got everything. Pace, mobility, quickness, technique, speed of thought, everything. Like, no disrespect to Divock Origi, and I know he scored in the Champions League and he's done some great things and everything else. I'm telling you now, Ivan Toney, just because, forget the snobbery of League One, Championship, play as high as he wants. Same as Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins was a snip in the summer. Why didn't Liverpool's great recruitment team hand 25 million to Aston Villa and make him back up to one of the three? Would you prefer right now Ollie Watkins coming off our bench instead of Divock Origi? Be honest.
I would, but I think it depends on the circumstance and the situation, doesn't it? I think a big reason why we still have Divock Origi is because no club has met his asking price that FSG probably wants for him.
No one wants him, that's why. So, but the reality is, again, I'd say to you, Ollie Watkins, Divock Origi. Watkins has only been in the Premier League 1 year, and I think he's already scored more Premier League goals than Divock Origi has in 5 years. Not only that, you got a player with pace, you got a player with technical ability on Watkins, and you got Origi. You know, so again, you look at it and you go, put the snobbery to the side. Why weren't decisions like that made? You know, and we had calls from big clubs in the Premier League about Ivan Toney. And you know, and that's what I'm saying. The talent is there. Like, for example, another mistake for me that Liverpool have made, and maybe it'll be a good mistake they've made, is sending Elliott out to Blackburn, you know, for the season. And he's been a revelation. But with all due respect, I'd rather he was coming on instead of the Ox, you know, in games, even at 17. You know, the kid is absolute mustard. So, and he's another one we can add to next year's squad. He's going to be a hell of a player, you know what I mean, in there with Curtis Jones. And again, you look at it and you go, he's come from the Football League. They required him from Fulham. You know, again, I'd say, would you rather Danny Ings was coming off the bench instead of Divock Origi? So, you know, I will give credit to Edwards, to FSG, but there are some issues in there you go, that was a mistake, you know, that they've made. So, what we do at Peterborough is a little bit unique compared to everyone else, but what we always do is put our money where our mouth is. You know, in the summer just gone, we might have sold Ivan Toney, but we spent over £2.5 million on 3 new recruits to the club. Nobody else at our level does that. So we will always reinvest. You know, we turned down in January over £2.5 million. That was across 2 teenagers we were offered money for. You know, we have a Portuguese 15-year-old kid that we were offered like high 6 figures from a club that loves Portuguese players in the Premier League, amongst many other clubs. And
that is.
Yeah, we said no, and we gave this kid a pro deal, and he scored the winner in the 18s last Saturday to win their league again, back to back. And this kid now is with our first team. He's just turned 16. So again, we know, you know, and we've got two 18-year-olds in our current squad that we've had bids from, you know, clubs in the Prem. We've said no, because we know by 18, 19, they're going to be worth millions and millions of pounds. So there's some terrific talent. We had Ben White at Peterborough for a year before he went to Leeds. You know, I offered Brighton £1 million to buy him when he came on loan to us, and he hadn't played a game barring League Two. And he would have been another one of our success stories if we'd managed to do that deal with Brighton. And Liverpool are obviously were in for him last summer, and you know, and he would have been a terrific acquisition for Liverpool. I'm telling you right now, if they bought Ben White last summer, that league table would be very different right now. You know, with all the injuries and everything that's happened. So hindsight's a wonderful thing. So that's the good thing. And the one positive I'll say is it's nice to see plenty of young English talent and British talent in the Liverpool team. Whether it's Robertson, whether it's Trent, whether it's Curtis Jones, whether it's Elliott at Blackburn, you know, Joe Gomez. The one thing we've done really well is we've always had a great nucleus of British and Irish players at Liverpool, and I love that. And
we briefly spoke about COVID. We said before this interview, you know, I asked you about questions, and you said, "Look, I'm an open book." You were very much an open book about last season and what happened in the end. You felt as though Peterborough, if the season hadn't have ended, Peterborough may have got themselves in the Championship.
We were going up. We were going up.
Yeah. How does it make you feel, looking back on that and the decision that was made by the clubs in the end?
Yeah, we were cheated. I still feel the same now. I've let it go. It's gone. People voted to end seasons. I said right now, if we were top of League One right now by 10 points, I wouldn't vote to end the season. You got me on record. And that could happen in the world we live in. And I'd be like, nope, I want to play on. I want to win promotion on merit. I want to play 46 games. I knew from early on, I was one of those people who raged against the machine when everyone was like, people are going to die playing football and all these sports people are going to die of COVID. I spoke to 3 different doctors. I did a lot of my own research. Before you want to have a mouthpiece on something, you want to educate yourself on it. So I knew from speaking to all the medical people, there was no danger for healthy young athletes, to catch a respiratory disease that was going to cause them issues. And as long as they stayed away from grandma and granddad, there would be no mass issue for football. And I was one of those people early on, saying they've got to get back playing. And obviously, Peterborough's season was in danger. They were talking about cancelling the Premier League and Liverpool's league title. Everyone was enjoying that fact that, this plague would take down Liverpool's chance to win a league title. And, I was on the radio and the TV a lot about, look, we've got to push one foot forward, get on with it. We've got to get back to playing. And, the quicker you get back to playing, the quicker normality will come back eventually. And here we are a year later, and people like yourself and other people are still in lockdown. I'm in America, I'm in Florida, I'm living free every day. It was horrible for our club. We'd invested so much, we spent so much time and effort. We were the form team in League One. We'd won 7 and 9 games. We had, I think, 6 out of the final 9 games were at home. We were the best home team in the league. We were playing 5 of the bottom 7. We were 4 points off automatic promotion when the season was points per game. And obviously Wycombe went above us and took our slot. But if you were looking at who was the team, we'd just beaten Portsmouth 2-0, one of our promotion rivals. We were nailed on. And unfortunately, the pandemic took all that away from us. So here we are a year later. We're fighting as hard as we can. And we're trying to do what we tried to do last year. And that's a credit to the players, the management. A lot of them are still with us. We kind of retained everyone around us. The players were on loan. We bought. We replaced Ivan Toney with Clark Harris, who's, the leading goal scorer in League One now. Another one who probably, should we not get promoted, there'd be clubs wanting to spend millions on him in the summer. So, I've never waved the white flag. I might get angry. I might get fucking furious. But for me, there's no quitting. There's no quit. Winners never quit and quitters never win.
How do you fancy Peterborough's chances this season?
We're doing well. We're in the top 3. We're a few points off top. We have a game in hand. We're the best home team outside the Premier League, at home. We needed to fix our away form. We had a good win away from home during the week. The big problem is going to be, pal, playing Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday with squads in League One and keeping our players fit. If we can keep our players fit and we can, the next 19 games, pretty much keep that nucleus without having major issues, we have a very good chance. If we can't, who knows? It's going to be a lottery. There's 10 clubs, 11 clubs in League One who could win the league, who get promoted. It's very competitive. There are clubs that you would think, well, they would never be fancy to win promotion, but they're doing great. And I knew that would happen during COVID. And that's a credit to the football at those clubs and the never say die spirit. And you like seeing stories like that as well. And then there's the big clubs, the Hulls, the Portsmouth that you expect to be up there. Sunderland has just been taken over by a very wealthy family. They've got a good manager, massive club who shouldn't be in League One. So they probably got a great chance as well. Who knows? Ask me in 19 games' time. And hopefully I'm drunk from drinking champagne, because that's the ultimate aim. We'll see. We'll see where it goes, But we're giving it our best shot. And that's a credit to everyone at the football club in a time where it's tough. It's fucking tough.
And back to the COVID situation, how long can a club like Peterborough run, continue running the way you are running it at the moment without fans in the stadium?
Can't.
And you've been told when that might be?
We're down to prime ministers, world leaders, and people who like to keep nations locked up. No scientific logic anymore behind it. They got a vaccine across the UK, to the people who need it the most in certain age groups. We should already have fans back in stadiums in 3 weeks' time, now that that's done. So I don't know, pal. If they come out and tell us we're limited in what we can do again next season, that's going to be the death knell for football. Clubs will finally just give up the ghost and go, okay, fuck it. we're done. And what you'll see is a lot of players released. You'll see a lot of players that will be on 60% less money. Things will change for the worse. So I can't answer that. Our club's in a strong position. I've got good partners. We've got a squad worth a lot of money because of the players that are coveted by clubs who do have money in a pandemic. I could have gone out and raised in January from selling players probably 4.5 million. You know, straight away. Come the summer, it'd be a lot more I could raise. So we're in a strong position from there, but that's from the asset building we've done and the recruitment we've done. So, you know, we're fortunate like that. Lots of clubs aren't. It's tough times for everyone, but and you know, it's hopefully that's going to change. I'm an optimist. I'm always an optimist, so I'm hoping, you know, we start seeing normality return come summertime.
And what did you make of obviously the salary cap proposal in the FL and the quick removal of that?
Love the salary cap. Was a big fan of it. Needed to happen during the pandemic. We needed to limit what was being spent. We needed to give clubs a break. Typical PFA, no surprise there. Disappointed the EFL and the PFA couldn't have done a deal beforehand, come to an agreement. PFA are going to learn long term that having thousands of their members unemployed every summer is not going to be good for them or their careers. And whilst this might seem like a victory for them, I think it's going to be a defeat long term. And, you know, we need a salary cap of some sort. I love a salary cap. I'm a big fan of the NFL, the American system. There were things about it not perfect that could have been better. You could reward teams better for doing good business and increasing their turnover and selling players. But so there were restrictions within it. There was no perfect science, but I think there could be. And I like you know, us to get that under control and get it done. So that's football. That's typical. The powers to be just couldn't get it done. For me, it should have got done, and it should have been done fucking months ago.